I think that Ilia hits like a truck, so does Gaethje, and I think if Gaethje prepares properly and gets ready for this fight, it's going to be interesting. Should be a fun one.
Does the unification fight have to be next, or is there a case if he's hurt and needs to be out for a while?
Apparently he's 100%. Gaethje's like, believe me, I've been in plenty of wars. I'm good. So as far as we know right now, he's healthy.
Ilia is laughing now because they have a like dirty boxing, really, you know. They just fighting hard, but there is like no good technique. But Ilia will be left now because Ilia has such a high level boxing.
Today, let's begin with a statement that has sparked serious debate across the MMA community. The idea that Justin Gaethje would be an easy fight for Ilia Topuria. That narrative picked up steam after UFC 324, where Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett delivered another chaotic, action-packed fight that had fans on their feet. While many praised the heart and toughness on display, others were far less impressed with the technical side of the bout. One of those critics was Merab Dvalishvili, who was in attendance and reacting live to the fight. Merab openly dismissed both Gaethje and Pimblett's approach, labeling it dirty boxing and suggesting that neither fighter demonstrated high-level technique. According to Merab, Ilia Topuria is likely watching these exchanges and laughing, believing that his superior boxing, structure, and discipline would allow him to dismantle either opponent with relative ease. His comments quickly went viral, dividing fans between those who agreed with the technical critique and those who felt Merab was oversimplifying the danger Gaethje brings.
So Ilia is laughing now because they have a like dirty boxing, really, you know. They just fighting hard, but there is like no good technique. But Ilia will be left now because Ilia has such a high level boxing.
There's no denying Ilia Topuria's boxing credentials. His combinations are crisp, his defense is tight, and his ability to stay balanced while attacking sets him apart from most fighters in the division. However, writing off Justin Gaethje as an easy matchup ignores years of evidence. Gaethje has built a career on chaos, durability, and power. He may not be the cleanest technician, but his ability to absorb damage and return fire has broken elite fighters before. One clean shot from Gaethje can erase game plans instantly, and that unpredictability is exactly what makes a matchup with Topuria so compelling.
Yeah, I mean, you have to learn these lessons. Again, his mindset going into that fight was not good. It's not how you can do. You cannot do that like this. You know, false confidence is terrible. Terrible. It'll kill you every time. And that's what he had. You know, specifically saying this was going to be the same exact fight as Chandler. It was crazy. And I was like, yes. Thank God he's thinking like this. I said it loud, you know, on the press conference. You know, I love everything that's coming out of his mouth because you cannot approach this sport like that. And he'll learn, and he's really good.
What makes this discussion even more interesting is that this fight may actually be closer to reality than many expected. Reports indicate the UFC is strongly considering booking Gaethje versus Topuria for the upcoming White House card in June. If that fight becomes official, it won't just be a stylistic clash. It will be a test of whether elite fundamentals can consistently overcome raw violence and pressure at the highest level.
It seems that it's going to be Gaethje versus Topuria. How do you see this one going?
I think that Ilia hits like a truck, so does Gaethje, and I think if Gaethje prepares properly and gets ready for this fight, it's going to be interesting. Should be a fun one.
Does the unification fight have to be next, or is there a case if he's hurt and needs to be out for a while?
Apparently he's 100%. Gaethje's like, believe me, I've been in plenty of wars. I'm good. So as far as we know right now, he's healthy.
Staying with Ilia Topuria, he recently made headlines for a moment that had nothing to do with fighting inside the Octagon. During an appearance on a segment called Guess the Pro Fighter, Topuria was asked to identify which of two men grappling was not a professional fighter. Ironically, he chose the amateur competitor, who then revealed he had trained in Dagestan with Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov, and later in Brazil with Charles Oliveira. Ilia's blunt response, "That's why you haven't improved," immediately sparked debate. Some fans praised his confidence, while others felt the comment crossed into unnecessary arrogance, especially given the names involved. Turning back to UFC 324, Paddy Pimblett's future has become a major topic of discussion. Despite the win, concerns remain about his long-term development, durability, and professionalism. Bilal Muhammad weighed in on the situation, suggesting that the UFC should match Paddy with Dan Hooker next. Bilal believes Arman Tsarukyan would be far too dangerous for Pimblett at this stage, arguing that Paddy needs a competitive but manageable matchup to recover physically and mentally. According to Bilal, there are no easy fights at lightweight, but Hooker represents a fair test that wouldn't completely derail Pimblett's momentum.
For Paddy, he's gonna need a lot of recovery. I think the UFC definitely, especially after a fight like that, you want to get him back in the win column. You don't want to give him too hard of a fight, but you know, you can't just throw him. There is no layups in the UFC anymore. I think they're gonna end up giving him somebody like Dan Hooker. They got a little back and forth. They've been talking trash. You don't want to give him Arman. I think Arman's the toughest test in that lightweight division for any of these guys, and I just don't know where he goes.
Adding fuel to the fire, Sean O'Malley's coach made a startling claim, saying he witnessed Paddy aggressively vaping while cutting weight backstage at UFC 324. While other fighters were visibly drained and struggling to make weight, Pimblett reportedly appeared relaxed, blowing clouds moments before weigh-ins. Given that Paddy walks around significantly heavier outside of camp, many fans questioned whether this approach reflects a lack of discipline that could eventually catch up to him inside the cage.
Could not believe I was on weight, 136 pounds, in the back, dying like everyone else, and Paddy was sitting there ripping his vape, blowing clouds.
Literally, Paddy's on weight, 154 pounds. The guy's used to walking around 200 pounds, and the only thing going into his body, hitting his stomach, hitting his blood vessels, is this f***ing toxic vape.
Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan's situation continues to grow more complicated. Over the past year, his absence from title contention has been one of the most talked about issues in the lightweight division. Dana White has repeatedly cited Tsarukyan pulling out of a fight with Islam Makhachev and several out-of-cage incidents as reasons for delaying his title shot. One of the most controversial moments occurred during stare-downs in Qatar, where Arman headbutted Dan Hooker. Now, Hooker has confirmed that the headbutt actually fractured his nose. According to Hooker, he was furious but refused to be medically disqualified, insisting that the injury occurred outside the fight itself. This revelation adds context to Tsarukyan's performance that night, as he fought an opponent who entered the cage with a broken nose. While Arman denied responsibility publicly, the incident reinforced the UFC's concerns about his conduct.
Now, you said earlier that Arman Tsarukyan broke your nose on stage, but you brushed it off. How bad was the broken nose going into the fight?
No, it's not like that had like a big effect on you physically. Mm-hmm. It's just mentally, like piss me off. You know what I mean? But you can't lose your temper that close to a fight. You can't sit around just being like, oh, I'm gonna get him back, get frustrated.
Despite this, Hooker surprisingly expressed sympathy for Tsarukyan during a recent interview, stating that Arman's prime years are being wasted. He even suggested that fans deserve to see Tsarukyan fight for the title, calling him one of the most dangerous contenders in the division.
I think Ilia Topuria.
Well, how do you think that fight will play out? That is the real question. We got a number one contender that no one wants to compete with. I want to see Arman versus Ilia. That's a fight that excites me. I don't think true.
What do you think Ilia Topuria was thinking when he was watching that fight?
Easy money. Easy money.
Do you think he knocked both of them out within a round?
He's been doing that to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Arman himself recently appeared on Daniel Cormier's YouTube channel, where he publicly apologized to Dana White and Hunter Campbell, promising better behavior and acknowledging that emotions sometimes get the best of him during fight week. Outside the cage, the UFC continues to expand its reach. Paramount Plus released viewership numbers from UFC 324, revealing a peak of 5.93 million concurrent streams, an enormous success for the platform's first UFC event. If this partnership expands internationally, it could significantly reshape how MMA is consumed worldwide. Following UFC 324, the first official rankings update of 2026 was released. Justin Gaethje now sits at number 1 in the lightweight division, while Paddy Pimblett remains ranked 5th. In bantamweight, no changes were made following wins by Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagomedov. Featherweight contender Gene Silva, however, made a massive leap after defeating Arnold Allen, jumping 4 spots in the rankings. Looking ahead, Fight Week is officially underway in Sydney, Australia. Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez faced off ahead of their highly anticipated rematch, reigniting debate over whether Volkanovski can once again assert dominance or if Lopes has made the necessary adjustments to change the outcome. Elsewhere, Cub Swanson announced his return at UFC 327 in Miami, while Rose Namajunas earned widespread respect after staying late to sign autographs following her emotional loss, showing class and professionalism despite the setback. In the bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley revealed that if the UFC wants him to fight Corey Sandhagen next, he expects to be paid like a champion. With only 2 fights left on his contract, O'Malley made it clear that business decisions will play a major role in his future. He also reflected on his recent performances, admitting he could have taken more risks, but prioritized safety against dangerous counter-strikers. Finally, Ariel Helwani reignited controversy after calling out Dana White for dismissive comments regarding Tom Aspinall's injury. Several fighters, including Aljamain Sterling, weighed in, sparking renewed debate about fighter respect, communication, and accountability at the highest level of the sport. That wraps up today's extended MMA update. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any breaking fight news. The fight world moves fast, and we'll be right here to cover it all.